Welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for January the 9th of 2017. If we could have a roll call to establish a quorum, please, ma'am.
Bob Thomas.
Here.
Vicki Schneider. Here. David Mitchell.
Here.
Terry McClung.
Here.
Hay Gadbetson.
Here.
Christy Kendrick.
Here.
We have 6.
All right. We stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome all the new members to the City Council, but now if we could get an approval of the agenda, a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
You got anything? Only item I have is item number 5. The surveys wasn't completed completely, so that's going to have to be postponed until next meeting.
Okay.
Food truck ordinance, status of implementation.
Okay.
Unfinished?
Pardon?
Unfinished business?
He just wants to know the food truck status, the implementation.
So where are you putting it?
Just
Okay,
under unfinished
great.
business, yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Terry?
Yeah, did on number 1 new business, did they make contact about appearing this evening on the taxi?
I have not.
They didn't show. They didn't show up last time, and I don't. And I think it just got put back on here, but I don't know if they still intended to.
Actually, the day after the meeting, the owner, Deathridge, called, and we spoke about it having been postponed, and it's back on here with his name and Joshua's because he wanted to come as the owner rather than one of the drivers proposing it. I haven't heard from him today, though.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess we'll leave it right where it is.
If they don't show up? Yeah, okay. Anything else? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. Motion to approve the minutes
So moved.
of December 12th.
Second.
Any corrections, additions? All right, all those in favor of the minutes being approved as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have, I think in your packet, an application, a reapplication actually, a renewal from Tom Buford on the Planning Commission. He's been serving the last couple of times. If there's any problem, Terry?
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and reappoint Tom to the Planning Commission.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
You need to please say that loud.
You lucky little devil.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. glad you got back on there again. Okay. Normally on our CAPC at this time of the year, when we have a new council and new administration coming in, we have 2 council members are appointed for the CAPC. So I'm willing to open up.
Would it be possible to do the de facto person that we're supposed to vote on first and then the council? I'm just going to ask.
I don't know if there's a.
We had postponed the...
Mr. City Attorney?
I know of no reason why you cannot choose to appoint one or the other first.
But I'm still going with the City Council.
Your chair.
Okay, I mean, that's just, you know, I need a motion for appointment for somebody to appoint.
Terry McClung for one of those positions.
Oh.
Motion to...
I got confused.
Motion to
approve Terry McClung.
Terry
Motion to
McClung
appoint Terry McClung to the CAPC.
Second. Can
All
I
right.
make a motion to,
Now, let's just do one at
One
a
at a
time.
time?
Yes,
Okay.
please. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
Terry,
Aye.
you did want to continue, right? We forgot to ask you that.
That'll be fine.
I'm assuming. Too bad.
No!
You're on.
Did he
Don't
veto
scare
you?
Bob. All right.
Okay, I make a motion that we put David on for our second councilman. Second.
Okay. We got any other nominations?
David, would you be willing to do this?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right. All those in favor of David, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, David.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a question.
Remember
Did you
your
abstain? Did you abstain?
No, I didn't vote for myself. I guess I should have.
You can.
I can. I'll vote for myself.
He's
Yes.
making it unanimous.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't like her, I'm a little worried.
It's debatable.
Okay, now we did have, I don't remember when, I think David was pro tem when this got, the council was on, the CAPC recommended Damon Hinkie to fulfill the vacancy, and it got deferred to the first meeting in January.
You were here when we deferred it.
I thought I was.
First vote was when he was on, the second vote you were on.
Okay, I thought I was here. Okay. But anyway, I remember getting it deferred. So, Mr. McClung.
I'd like to make a motion to reapprove Damon Hinkey for that spot on CAPC.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
No. Good job. No. All right. That
That doesn't work?
No, it fails for a lack of a second.
Somebody over. Nick or somebody. I don't know.
All right. Nikki, you got something?
I make a motion that we put Bobby Foster in the seat.
I think what happens is the CAPC comes
Oh,
back with their
this is the
recommendation.
deferral, I'm sorry. Okay.
Right, yeah. This was their last recommendation was for Damon, and Terry brought it back before the council. So now it's going back to the CAPC to give us another member to bring before the council.
For that slot.
So at the next meeting, Mr. McClung, if you would
I'll see if we can get that on the agenda for Wednesday night, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, that brings us back to, we do have some other vacancies. We still have a vacancy in the hospital commission. If there's anyone out in TV land that would like to serve on the hospital commission. Also, one position that's vacant in parks, and looks like one position vacant in the HDC. So, please come in if you're interested and put in an application. Now we can come to public comments. Public comments?
Was one name?
Food truck, oh, no.
I'm Brenda Patterson, and I'm coordinator for tobacco prevention education in Madison, Carroll, and Newton. And I have a couple of pages of bullets that I wanted to pass out to you guys just for your education. If we could pass those down.
Sure.
There's 2 per person.
Yeah.
One of them is on cigarette butt waste. Is that it?
Where's that?
Thank you.
Okay. One is on cigarette butt litter, and
Like that?
I just wanted you guys to be able to kind of get a feel of what litter is caused, how much litter. These things don't go away. They're not biodegradable, and the fire hazards in our outdoor areas. People, of course, I'm aware of it because I do tobacco prevention and education, and I see people all the time on the driest days flicking lit cigarettes out the windows or walking in a park or down a sidewalk, and they just throw them down lit. They don't even, I don't think they think of it as litter or a hazard to the land. But, and then they're so lightweight, they get carried into our lakes and streams, and they're very harmful and can kill our wildlife. They've dissected dead birds before and found that their stomachs are full of cigarette butts because they can't digest them. So I just wanted you guys to have some educational material on that. And then the next page there's some highlights in there, and that is the people who have died. And Arkansas is one of these, and it's the top 5 states where people especially men, have died from cancers from smoking. So I just wanted to throw that out there to you guys. And I'm going to be here if you have any questions. I'd love to help answer those. I just wanted to give you some education on the outdoors and the hazards of the cigarette butt waste. And on top of that, when people are in public areas and they're smoking, it's very hazardous for people who have asthma, especially children, people who have cardiovascular problems, women who are pregnant. It's very, very dangerous for pregnant moms and their babies. So secondhand smoke is actually just a little bit more hazard than smoking because, for one thing, that cigarette has a filter. When you're breathing in secondhand smoke, your lungs are the filter. So, I just wanted you guys to be familiar with some of this, and I'm here if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Is Mike back? Is
All
Mike
right.
Maloney back?
All right, that's the end of our public comments. First order of unfinished business is the ordinance banning smoking in city parks. If we can get a motion to discuss.
So moved. Second?
All right. Who wants to lead off? We've gotten some ordinances before you that Tim has reviewed. Got an ordinance rather Tim developed.
It was DeVito and Schneider that brought this to the fore. Nikki, do you have any comments before we begin discussion?
Well, James and I were like on opposite sides, so we were balancing out the situation. When cigarettes and tobacco is made illegal, I'll have no problem having every park 100% smoke-free. Until then, I think we have to use common sense and logic, and the common sense and logic involved in Lake Leatherwood does not prove to me or anyone using their brain that there should be no smoking in that whole humongous big park area. And I have been a non-smoker for almost 3 years now. So I am not biased in that regard. I just think common sense and logic has to be used in every way because we are not God. We are not the ones that have to decide on someone living or dying because they smoke. That is not our choice. That is their choice. We can help them understand. That's all we can do.
I don't like the ordinance that is before the council, and I drafted another ordinance that has not made it into your packets. I'm not sure that I understand the protocol of this. And I'll tell you what I don't like about the ordinance that is in your packets and what I tried to put into the one that I drafted. First of all, it bans e-cigarettes as well as any other tobacco products, including chewing tobacco. I also find that, and in my ordinance, I did permit e-cigarettes. Not that I like them, but I have no evidence that they adversely affect people that are not smoking them themselves. And I think that this is as a result of the adverse effect that smoking has on other people, secondhand smoke, and also the litter that is left behind. And e-cigarettes is not the cause of either of those problems that I'm aware of. The other thing that I don't like about the ordinance before us is that it is very limited in scope. The Parks Department has a very broad range of jurisdiction that includes a lot more than the areas that are listed here in Section 2. The reservations are not listed here. Not all of Harmon Park is included, and not all of Leatherwood Park is included. I would like to prohibit it in all properties that are under the jurisdiction of parks, and really any properties that are under the jurisdiction of the city. I did the ordinance that I drafted because people have expressed a concern about having smoking areas. I provided for smoking areas in Lake Leatherwood Park, 5 in number, and then also in Section 3, I think the penalties are too low. I think that that is not going to prohibit or deter people from smoking. And then, in particular, the criminal, if you go to the second page where it talks about criminal trespass, that person can only be prosecuted for criminal trespass if they do not leave and they have to be gone for at least 24 hours. We would have to prove that in order to prove criminal trespass. So I think that kind of emasculates the whole criminal trespass penalty part of it. I would like to defer this and have council review my ordinance.
Terry?
Well, it sounds to me more like we need a workshop. I mean, it sounds like pretty broad here in what people want, because in reading this, there's some things that I'm not particularly fond of, but listening to hers as well, there's some things that I'm not particularly fond of, and so I'm certainly not in a position to vote on something.
David?
I agree with Christie that we need to table this until we have a chance to read both ordinances.
Tim?
The reason you were given the draft that you were given is the one that the parks proposed originally, with only some changes to the wording and to the penalty phase, actually increasing their penalties.
Oh, I understand that. I don't mind. It just
the reason you were not given Christie's is it has at least 3 major flaws that I'd like to talk to Christie about. It mixes civil and criminal penalties, which is improper in Arkansas. It has a ban on a person for criminal trespass that could be easily unconstitutional. And it uses language from a state statute that applies only to indoor smoking.
Bob?
Well, if we're going to have a workshop on it, I can defer my comments on the workshop. But I really don't think that we should be considering any ordinance on any topic that has not been reviewed by the city attorney before it's given to us. So I would like.
Agree.
I would have appreciated a call where you could have told me what your concerns were about it.
Well, I was presented with your ordinance, and I received it for review today. If you have an ordinance that you wish me to look at, I would appreciate you giving it to me in a manner so that I can see it.
Well, she gave it to us, and we threw it on to you last week. Yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What we got in Chrissy, I think a lot of your concerns can be addressed within this ordinance once we get, there's some things that can be massaged on. I had some concerns about yours also, but Why don't we go ahead and I'll have Kim contact y'all and we'll just set up a workshop and hash this out and get it going.
And have
If that's okay?
both proposed ordinances.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and
That
show
way,
you
yeah,
both.
we can at least look at what she has
Yeah.
and incorporate out of both into one
Yeah.
or something, or vote
Be in
against
your
both of them.
mailboxes tomorrow.
So do I have a motion to defer and set up a workshop? Get a
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Mayor, I would ask permission to attend that workshop.
Big Fred?
I'd ask permission to attend
Oh,
that workshop.
absolutely. We'll get you there too. I think,
These two.
good idea. All right. So 5-1.
So we're deferring until we have a workshop and finally decide we're ready to go on.
Big Fred?
We're deferring until we have a workshop
Correct.
and more, until we're ready to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
until we have something we can talk intelligently about. All right, speaking of workshops, I'm not sure, but I thank everybody on the date for the workshops for the vacating the process on the ordinances that we've got. Has everybody been contacted about the 130? What's in the motion to discuss?
I think so. When is that again?
Can I get a motion to
Yeah,
discuss?
motion to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
The 130-17,
Yeah.
6 p.m.?
That was,
Okay, on the 17th at 6 p.m.
1:30. This is the workshop for the parks on vacating the land.
yeah. You already sent,
Wait a minute.
we've already heard about that by
Right.
Yeah, I've got it written down at home, I know, but you're talking two different times, so I have no idea where we are.
Okay, Christie.
I would like Parks to know that the reason we're asking them to this workshop is so that we can discuss the trails. That was specifically the reason why I think council expressed concerns relating to Parks was about the fact that we were amending the ordinance that gave them jurisdiction over the unopened streets to give them jurisdiction over the trails. And I believe that some council members expressed concern over what the trails are. So it's very important that I think Parks educates council on what trails and proposed trails exist.
Okay, yeah.
And also, I had brought up the fact that in the master plan of parks, they have outlined a procedure for vacating and stuff like that needed to be, council needed to be aware of that process, and it needed to be brought into your discussion. So,
All right. So, January 30th, 6 p.m. in the courtroom. We'll be there, upstairs, yes. For workshop with
the parks
vacating
workshop.
and discussion of trails with Parks. It's a common workshop between the City Council and the Parks Commission and staff. Okay? All right. Under 3, we got a food truck status. Get a motion to discuss.
motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. To be honest with you, I'm going to have to defer this to Ann.
All right, the applications are available for people who want to plunk down $25 for the opportunity for the building inspector to come out and inspect their property and make sure that everything's up to snuff, and grass, egress, all the other requirements. And then basically what we need is to set a time for the lottery. And there probably are 4 property owners who are interested in being in the lottery, and a month out from now would be ideal, probably.
That would be time for get everybody notified and all the applicants. So that would be our first meeting, City Council meeting in February, which would be,
First day of February.
beg your pardon?
I think it's first day of February. No, the 8th.
It would be the 13th of February.
Well, shouldn't we have already started doing before all this, setting up our dates, our meeting times?
You know,
What if we change it?
Well,
I don't think we're going to.
I do too, but
let's go tentatively right now, okay?
Okay.
Just so we don't get in, let's say tentatively.
The heck of
it'll be-
a fight.
And it really doesn't matter, the lottery can still be held on the 13th of February,
No, it
whether we
says
have
in
a
the
council meeting or
No,
not.
it says during a meeting.
Huh?
It says during a meeting.
It's to be done live during the meeting.
We can still have it live, so let's tentatively say 13th of February, okay?
We should have started with that.
All right. I don't know if I need a motion for that or not. Need a motion for the 13th of February for the lottery,
I so move.
for the food trucks?
We do need
I'll
one?
second it, so we just move
Okay,
on.
yeah. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. We should have, okay, Bailey, Deathridge here. All right.
I don't think there's anybody out there.
All right, somebody want to make a motion just to
yeah.
take this off the agenda?
I was going to make a motion that we delete this from the agenda until somebody hears something different from these applicants.
Okay,
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, now okay, now we're coming up to our important things. Setting the meeting dates for 2017.
I want to do second and third. He does.
Get a motion to,
Motion to discuss.
Second.
thank you. Does anybody have a preference other than what we're doing?
Other than me.
I don't have a preference for change, but I just want to be sure that the budget review is included at the second meeting of every
It, well, that's separate. Let's just deal with our meeting times right now.
a part of the meeting.
Let's just deal with
We
the
have to
meeting.
set our
That's the
dates
agendas.
first.
That's agendas. We want to set our meetings first.
We have to get our days before we can do
We
our-
got to get our meetings first, then we can get into the
The
agenda stuff.
business.
So is everybody comfortable with the same meeting schedule that we have?
Yes.
second and fourth Monday.
All right, can I
Yes.
get a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. All right, now we need a motion for setting the pro tem, electing a pro tem for 2017 in case I'm not
Motion to
here.
discuss.
Second.
Second.
Make a motion and we leave David there.
Second.
All right.
Do you accept?
Any other comments, discussions?
I'm
Since
asking
I
if he wants
signed
to
about
accept.
100 dead bank accounts,
Is that a yes?
and the mayor doesn't take off rarely, it's not a big deal.
Well, he's done it once on you, I think.
I think he's
In
accepted.
2 years, that was pretty damn good.
All right, if not, we've got a motion to have David as our pro tem for 2017. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Rules and procedures.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay, no, go ahead.
Don't we use abridged, or we use the full Robert's Rules of Order?
Abridged.
I don't remember.
Robert for Dummies.
No. I mean, that's probably appropriate. Yes, ma'am.
Typically, it's the abridged version that is adopted.
Thank you for that.
Second.
Did you make a motion to approve the abridged?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I did, following the input from our city clerk.
Okay. Vicki?
Is this discussion time, I hope?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Part of Robert's rules, and I hate Robert, I say this every year, part of Robert's rules is that there are times when we can choose to lessen the appropriateness of raising hands and being recognized, I forget what the term is, but that we can sit there and do it almost like a workshop where we discuss back and forth in a very natural way. I would like to see us use this more often. In my 6 times as councilman, I've asked for it twice and been turned down each time. There are times when a free discussion can get so much more knowledge, understanding, feeling, logic, the whole 9 yards. I think we really, really, really need to use that on occasion. It's not a bad thing. If it was bad, Robert would not have included it. Smart thing he did. So I would like to see this used far more often. I think we could accomplish things a lot better having a free discussion on occasion.
Mr. McClung?
I would think if that would be the case, then she would need to, or whoever would want to bring it up at that specific time,
You do.
call credence to it at that particular moment and ask for it and either get it or not get it.
Yeah, you do. I've done it twice in 6 terms, 8 terms, whatever.
That doesn't change that we're looking at the abridged version of Robert's Rules of Order.
No, it's a discussion of Robert's rules.
And Robert's Rules of Order does not approve of talking over each other, I don't believe, does it?
That's correct. I mean, that's the whole point of
think it
Robert's
did.
Rules of Order is to establish a set of rules that people can be heard at the same time during the meeting. We can still have the free range of discussion. We just have to do it
You have to.
inappropriately and respect people when they're talking and when they have the table.
Well, there is a whole section where you said, I would like to make this, whatever the term is, free for all. And everybody says, okay, we will have free discussion. But I don't remember what the term was.
David?
I think we need to remember that we have a chairperson for a certain reason, and I think the chairperson would be the one that would, if it's going to be some free range, that still controls that issue.
And I'm not familiar, to be honest with you, maybe the city attorney or somebody more familiar with of what Mickey's talking about in Robert's Rules of Order. I've never seen a free range, free for all.
Casually.
It's usually people are recognized to
It's
speak.
actually there.
I saw something about it in Roberto's. Roberto's rules.
There are rules to allow extra conversation because this table gets a lot of times into that, but it doesn't. I'm not sure what she's talking about either. I'd have to
I don't
look.
remember what it's called, but it's there.
But there normally you're only allowed twice each, and this table often gets into 4 or 5 times each.
I thought it was 3.
Yeah.
3 times per issue.
And we do allow more than that, so we do have some flexibility. I mean, if we were following.
Anyway, it's in there.
All right.
You guys. can
All right,
find it.
is that enough discussion on Robert's Abridged Rules of Order? Robert's Rules of Order Abridged? All in favor of using that for our rules of procedure, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I want to interject real quickly, and it's not on the agenda, but to address your concern, Bob, about the budget meeting. We will have that on our agenda.
I did not know they were on the agenda. I thought that
That's
meeting
not-
started at 5:15.
That's
In the
not,
second.
Yeah.
In the second meeting of the month.
and that's what we
It's
can
on
do
the agenda.
anyway.
The
Terry?
meeting starts at 5:15 then.
Well, it always says up here,
Then-
workshop.
So is that part of the agenda? I thought it was happening before the meeting. I thought the agenda started at 6 o'clock.
Yes,
It does.
you are right, Bob.
Well,
We just
if
automatically
somebody
have a
had
workshop.
let me talk for 30 seconds or more, I might get out what I'm trying to say.
That hadn't changed.
Pardon?
That hadn't changed.
Well, that was my request, was that it be officially adopted that we still will meet at 5:15 on the second, prior to the second council meeting for budget.
May I so move that we have a budget workshop at 5:15, the second Monday of each month, to review the prior month's
Sure.
budget.
I missed the way you started your comment.
May I please move that we have a budget workshop the second Monday of each month at 5:15 so that we can review the budget.
I will defer to the mayor, because when I tried to make that motion, I was told it was not appropriate.
Is that the second Monday or the second meeting Monday?
Second.
Second,
Second meeting of the month.
Okay, that's not what you had said.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's.
But then I'll second that.
Okay. I think that's something different, Bob, totally different.
Oh, somebody already did.
I'm comfortable with the way this is the motion and everything on that. If I can get a second?
I'm sorry, you think it's something totally different?
I think
It's
it's acceptable with the motion we have.
Oh, so my motion was not acceptable.
The discussion was not acceptable. The motion is made to have a budget meeting at 5:30 on the second, 5:15 on the second meeting of every month. We got a motion and a second.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion?
Technically, under Roberts, you're supposed to suspend the rules to do that.
Okay, suspend the rules and...
Why?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right, because it's not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
May I make a motion to suspend the rules so that we can discuss having a budget workshop the second meeting of each month at 5:15?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now I would like to make a motion.
Un momento.
I'm sorry, that's
Now
right.
we've got to
Mr.
vote on
Mitchell?
that.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Schneider.
Yeah.
Ms. Adamson.
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick.
Yes.
Mr. McClung.
Yes.
6-0.
Maybe we should have announced our...
Okay, now then we want to suspend the rules and have...
Okay, we have
Now we need to vote on the
motion.
the motion.
Okay, now I would like to make a motion that we have a workshop the second meeting of each month at 5:15 in order to discuss the budget.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Do we need a roll call?
No.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right.
Uh-oh.
Mr. McClung.
Yes, sir. Number 5, that one that we postponed.
Yes, sir?
I just wanted to ask one thing. Are we still in the process of getting those surveys done? Everything is, it's
Yeah.
just not completed yet.
Correct.
Correct.
I just was wanting clarification.
Yeah, just hadn't been completed. Okay. All right, now we have a motion to discuss the discussion of demolition by neglect.
So moved.
Motion,
All right, Ms. Kendricks,
motion to discuss?
I think that's Terry just did
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, second.
Okay, I would point to you to
Oh,
open up discussion.
Okay, what I have done some, I've reviewed the Clean City Ordinance that we have. I have also reviewed state law that pursuant to which we may pass ordinances like this. I think the ordinance needs work because it appears to me that our only option as houses decline in the city is to work towards getting them boarded up, which is all well and good. But if in the end we do not succeed in keeping a house in good condition through our actions, our only option is to demolish the house. So I think that we ought to be given some more options in the ordinance to try to save the home before it is demolished. And so, you know, I realize the city doesn't have the money to renovate houses, but I think that I would like to set up a committee to review the ordinance and see what other options there may be. I've had quite a bit of experience in code enforcement. I have, in fact, in preparing for this, I talked to a professor in Emory who does nothing but this across the country, has worked with Little Rock even on their ordinances, and I think we can do a lot with our own ordinance and propose that we set up a committee.
David?
You're discussing Ordinance 2201, an ordinance repealing municipal codes, blah, 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 real property and replacing it, which has a section in there besides definitions of nuisance and all, and then about keeping the lawns clean and all. It has a section that Glenna Booth and both the building inspector were involved in regarding identified structures that were either fire damaged, dilapidated, or casualty damaged, in which case they identified them, and then that information was given to the building inspector, who either worked with the property owner at that time to make a plan of action to correct the deficiencies. At the time this started, which I think was about 3-4 years ago, there was only identified 6 dwellings at that time that had actually reached the point of a health and safety hazard that were deemed. And since then, 3 of those have been dealt with. The big issue also is that the HDC, who is responsible for the historic district and the contributing structures, had to be very much included in this process. So if a structure was identified, they were notified along the way, and they either signed off on to go ahead and demolish it or not. And I know they've taken that issue of properties that are contributing to the historic district very, very seriously. And I think they've tried very hard, obviously, to save them and or have them, renovated. So I understand what you're saying. I would think, since you've already researched this, that it would seem to me it would be appropriate if you got with Glenna and the building inspector, and that could be your committee, and then come back to us.
Okay. I was thinking that perhaps you could contribute as well.
I'll be glad to. I would be glad to. But I think those are probably your key people, if you're comfortable with that.
Do you want to include
I expect it.
HDC?
Not at this point right now. How about we'll get them included. It's up to you.
Well, are you interested in
I'll help you.
participating?
Yes, ma'am, I would.
Thank you.
Now, you realize when you do meet, you're going to have to contact newspapers
Okay.
to,
That's right.
because the
That
FOIA,
old
Freedom of
ex parte
Information.
stuff.
Export.
Yeah, so be sure to contact the newspapers when y'all do have a meeting and stuff on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion that we have a committee?
Well, did I hear, do you want to say something? It's part of the HDC?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
I'll get it done.
Okay, 30 seconds.
One of the things that I would like to see in your ordinances is more of a fine to be leveled onto this, because right now there's like a house by me that's one of the most iconic houses. It's contributing. The picture of Lena, I know you know who Lena is, the garbage lady, is taken in front of it. I think you know which picture I'm talking about. It's caved in on the side, and it is, in the next year or two, it's going to be gone. And so this person that owns it lives in Fayetteville, and if there was some repercussion and a fine leveled with it, Arkansas is a garnishing state. So I think there needs to be some toughness in this. We really haven't had the teeth.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
would you like to join the committee?
Sure.
Well, that'll cover HDC.
I'm sorry?
That'll cover HDC and planning, but
Okay.
Okay, and I'm sure y'all will come into it. There's some issues when you have some absentee landlords and trying to file.
I did nothing but this for 5 years, so...
Even in Arkansas, it gets even more.
Oh, I know it's actually, I can tell you I reviewed the laws, and they are bad.
Yeah.
The Arkansas laws are bad.
So it's very difficult on there, but we're willing to listen to anything you have. So I have a motion that we establish a committee. It'll be Christy, David, Glenna, building inspector, and Melissa for reviewing this ordinance and come back to us.
Okay.
Actually, it wasn't really a motion with a second.
No, I will make a motion that we...
Do we need a motion?
Do I need...
establish probably.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay,
see,
that we appoint
it's
a
in the
committee with
records.
those parties that were mentioned.
Yeah. All right, did we get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving right along. This comes up...
Pardon? Would you please tell them that I vote aye?
I didn't hear you, sorry.
Pardon?
I did not hear you. Sorry.
I didn't say anything because I think I usually have to have somebody else say what I want to say.
What?
Well,
Never mind.
I got it. Thanks.
Okay, can I get a motion to discuss the capping of the number of B&Bs?
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All right. Well, Mr. DeVito's not here, but Ms. Kendricks is.
I would like to make some comments. All of my complaints from clients and constituents concerning city matters have related to intrusions into residential districts, including ghost tours, trails across unopened streets, and approvals of cups for B&Bs. Protection of residential districts is one of the main reasons that I ran for city council. I am also a lifelong advocate for affordable housing, and there is a direct correlation between the increase in short-term rentals and a greater shortage in affordable housing. Last year, New Orleans passed new regulations limiting short-term rentals in residential districts and significantly banning them in the French Quarter, which is very similar to our historic district. San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, Oakland, Portland, San Diego, Seattle, and other cities have recently experienced a shortage in affordable housing because of Airbnb, VRBO, and other short-term rental platforms. 3 U.S. senators have asked this Federal Trade Commission to study such resulting housing shortages. Our Victorian residential districts are keys to Eureka Springs' charm and draw tourists to our city. Eureka Springs has to remain a living, breathing city or become a Williamsburg. Our poor residents need housing in the city, preferably closer to the business district where they work. Every time a cup is issued for a B&B, a long-term rental is removed from the market. This is not an issue of giving a property owner an opportunity for a home-based business. They can do that with a long-term rental, perhaps not quite as profitably. It is an issue of a business intruding into a residential neighbor where there were once just neighbors respecting each other's peace and tranquility. I propose that we respect the integrity of Eureka's residential districts and remove B&Bs as permitted cups. I'd like to say one more thing. I am not suggesting we get rid of our existing cups that are B&Bs. I am not suggesting that. Just that we stop approving new ones.
Mickey.
We've argued this point eons and eons and eons. And I still argue the point. People want to do a B&B because they want to be part of the neighborhood. If they're stuck up on top of the mountain, on top of the hill, on top of the highway, they are not part of the town. That is the whole point of a B&B, is being part of the neighborhood, wherein they can go in and out as they please, go out to dinner, go out shopping downtown, walk around, meet the people, see the neighbors' dogs. This is the whole point of a B&B. You cannot do that up in the hotel district. You can only do that in the neighborhood. These people do B&Bs because they want to be part of the neighborhood and they act appropriately. You can have someone in a B&B be really loud, rude, and unbelievable, just like you can in a hotel, motel, or anything else. It does happen on occasion, but not very often. Most of the time, when you have peaceful renters, and that's usually part of the little agreement, the rental agreement, whatever you want to call it, is the quietness code and the whole 9 yards and the decency. Most neighborhoods have no problem with this because the people are nice, they're friendly, they want to be part of you, even if it's only for a weekend or a week or whatever. If we do away with B&Bs, we're screwing ourselves. It's that simple. They come to a Victorian town to be part of a Victorian town.
David?
let me go back a little bit. At some point in time, the city council banned tourist lodging in the R1 area. Zip, completely stopped it. And then B&Bs were allowed to continue, and there was that CUP process and all of the drama that went with it. And that went on. And then at some point, all of a sudden, there came this little opening that some people discovered about weekly lodging, and that zipped in a little bit. But luckily, it got caught real quick, and it got slammed, and council and planning and everything put an end to that. And there was just a few people that had gotten through, and then they can't pass that CUP or et cetera, weekly lodging on anymore. It ends if that property owner gets rid of it. So B&Bs, we're still under the licensure thing. And then I would think maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, it started becoming evident that we had to move towards people applying for that B&B license. That wasn't necessarily following the spirit of it, and it got a little bit difficult. And we had some people applying for B&B licenses as it went along. There is one way you can put an end to any more B&Bs, and we have two levels of B&Bs. We have grandfather B&Bs that were in existence before 1986, and then we have those that have gotten conditional use permits that operate under those since then. And I could understand, we've had discussion in the past about those CUPs when we had moratoriums, that if you had a current CUP as a B&B and you were going to sell it, that should still be allowed to happen, or if be included, it wasn't going to be eliminated, so you had to convert back to a house. So yes, you could just say, let's just ban B&Bs and just put an end to it, and totally. But I want to go back to what we asked planning to do over 6 months ago. Well, much more longer than that, actually. We asked planning and gave them the request that they were to meet and review all of the processes related to bed and breakfast and bring back recommendations to us. And then on November, I think the 14th, Melissa Green, who was the acting chairperson at that time, brought a very focused set of recommendations to change for conditional use permits for B&Bs at that point in time. And we haven't actually taken it up, because I think that what we had asked for after she presented that be put in a format that could come before council for us to look at. I've in discussion with some people on planning, and I think even Glenna recently, I think they have discovered that there are some loose sentences spread throughout that code that have over the years gotten stuck in various places. It makes it very difficult to follow what's going on with it. And they would like the opportunity to finish cleaning that up and doing it. So I would like to see, if possible, that planning be allowed to take this issue back under and bring something forward to council, and that while they're in that process, that we put a moratorium, because the moratorium ended December the 31st on B&B, any new CUPs within R1. So if y'all are comfortable, I would hope that what we could do is put a moratorium on any CUPs for bed and breakfast or lodging in R1, R2 until June the 30th of 2017 to allow planning time to pull everything together in the codes and come back to us with something.
You had a motion?
I'll let them talk first.
Discuss.
Christie?
I don't think that would address my concern about new B&Bs. I have no problem with renewing the existing B&Bs that exist and their cups. But I think adjusting the language in the code is just going to maybe tighten up how new B&Bs apply, but it's not going to stop them. And these are residential districts after all. I know that planning gave us a list in our package of how many B&Bs there actually are. It was this sheet.
Yep, not many.
Well, there are 9 grandfathered B&Bs, 17 cup B&Bs, and 8 grandfathered tourist lodgings and 11 cup tourist lodgings. That's quite a few in what's supposed to be residential districts.
David?
You can. I think I want Melissa to come up and address some of this too, if we don't mind, because I think she's been on HDC and everything. I think that we should, if we put a moratorium on all new CUPs for lodging within R1 and R2, which is, I think we probably may want to expand that moratorium until June. That would allow planning time to come back and bring the regulations, the changes, cleaned everything up, and at that point, if you still feel that way, then there's plenty of opportunity to just ban them in total and put an end to it.
Mickey?
2 of the things that I failed to mention when I first talked was the on-site owner/manager. This keeps it residential because that's part of our laws. An owner or his on-site manager has to live there. This is their home. That makes them the resident. Also, when you get to income, low housing or housing and affordable housing, that ain't going to happen with what's a B&B. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I have no idea what the per nightly amount is. I have a pretty good idea. There is no way that these people are going to rent one of these places out to a local person for an affordable price to be able to make what they're doing with the B&B, which is the only way a lot of people can live here. We do not have affordable housing to speak of hardly anywhere in this area, and it has nothing to do with B&Bs. But B&Bs do keep local people living in a local residential town.
Okay, Melissa.
Well, I would just like to point out before you speak that one of the goals of planning was to address affordable housing in 2017.
Yes, we are addressing that. But first of all, I just want to clear something out. Yes, we do have 26 grandfathered or CUPs, CUPs in residential 1. Now, if you go back through our history, we are losing units, what I call, if a B&B has 5, what we're gaining, we're losing. As of right now, we're -2. We are at the point where it's probably going to be another -5. So we're not really adding them. And our new laws restrict it. We do have a variance that can be used, but it restricts it that it's going to be really, really hard to get a B&B. And no disrespect, but I've been here for 15 years. I've bought and sold properties. It's to the point you can't, if you have a mortgage, if you buy a property with a mortgage, the mortgage payment you're going to pay, people could not afford to even pay your mortgage. So that's been one of the biggest problems. And I'm trying, as a planning commissioner, to put people back in a residence. And home-based businesses, whether it's a B&B, we're exploring a lot of home-based businesses that are not going to be invasive to neighborhoods so that people can come here. I mean, our housing has gotten so expensive, and it's part of that has been by the advent, we are a second home area, which has been a really good thing, but it has a downside. So I'd love to see affordable housing, but I also want to see residents here. So, I think we've tightened up our laws for the B&B that it's going to be really, really hard. The other thing is, I do want to say this, all the B&B licenses we've given out in the last 4 years to residential have been 2 buildings that at one point in time either were tourist lodging or a B&B. They were not new ones. And so a lot of those houses, unfortunately, if you go into these B&Bs, when they were restored, they were so chopped up, and so they're just almost unlivable. There's jacuzzis everywhere, there's kitchens, tiny kitchens somewhere. So people just aren't buying them for houses. I wish they were, but they're not, So I think it's something, I understand. I agree with David. I think we need a moratorium because we have, at planning, I have a big revocation coming tomorrow, and Glenn and I spent probably 6 to 7 hours going through codes, and while they're good, they're over here, they're over there. It took us hours to pull everything together, and I think that's what David is asking, is that we be given time to pull all of this together. We want to make it in one section. We want to make it cohesive. We want the definitions there so that we don't have any more problems with the B&Bs. And then after 6 months, if you guys want to cap them and have no more, you're going to make my life a lot easier.
Maybe not happier, but easier.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Christy.
Well, I think a great contributing factor to the rise in the price of homes is the fact that they could become B&Bs. So I don't think that it's just because...
Christy, and no disrespect, in 15 years I've been here, I just don't see it anymore. Nobody's coming in and saying, oh, I'd like to buy this house and turn it into a B&B. What a lot of times, like one we had last summer, had a little cottage in the back that had been built for tourist lodging. It's not even... I wouldn't want to live in it. It's tiny. The bed's upstairs, up some little stairs. I just don't... Personally, I don't see it because there's no money in it. David can tell you that.
David?
I think if we should allow our commission of planning people to take this issue on, and we should give what Christy wants also, the protection of no new ones at this point by a moratorium, and then let's see what planning brings back to us and we can take it up. But I think if the moratorium puts a halt to it, and I think that would help a lot, and then planning has, I think that would be, 6 months, at least another 6 months to go back through and bring the stuff to us. And if we don't like it,
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we
I'm
did
gonna
find everything. It's just a matter of putting it into form, and I personally want better definitions of what each thing means, so that somebody can come in and say, oh, well, I can't do this, or I can do this.
So I'd like to go ahead and make the motion that we put no. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
You're telling me to hurry, okay. That we make a motion to have a moratorium on all new CUPs within the residentials, which is 1 and 2, in Eureka Springs, and that moratorium stays in effect until June the 30th of 2017.
Second.
Wait, can I say one thing? Are you gonna put a moratorium on everything? All CUPs?
That's what he said, all CUPs.
No, new. I said new.
Well, okay, so just as a quick note,
Clarify.
when you say
pending.
you do not want to have any more cups issued, or you want to put a moratorium on a specific area of the city, right? In R1, Christy, we have bed and breakfast, we have boarding house, we have building used for religious services, we have community service center, we have daycare small, daycare large, dwelling, multiple family, education, healthcare provider, and wedding establishment. Those are all cups in residential, though. So, in my opinion, if I were on planning, I would say we put a moratorium on everything. Because if your concern is over residential neighborhoods, this is an influence on residential neighborhood, not just a B&B. A healthcare provider could be, a daycare center could be. All of those items on that list could be an issue for a residential area. So you can't just single, in my opinion, out a bed and breakfast and say, well, they're the issue, or they're the issue for affordable housing, because somebody could still come in and purchase a building and do one of these things in that.
I think the problem has been with the B&Bs. I don't...
But
Have you received a lot of other cups? Or do you have a lot of cups
tomorrow.
for other?
We could tomorrow.
We have one on January 24th for a wedding license.
That I would consider another intrusion
that's
into...
all I'm saying.
So in other words, why live here?
Establishment?
No, they actually are finally applying for one.
So I'm just saying, if you're going to do
This is who
one,
this
you
is
should
who
do
we
it for all.
have been for eons.
Wait a minute, wait. Let's hold on here. Terry, I think it's in an existing building. It's new. new use in that facility.
And let me say something. They have already applied, so they would not be applicable to the moratorium. They have applied for it, so they would not be
They would
applicable.
be exempt.
Are they currently a tourist operation?
Yes.
Tourist lodging?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's kind of hand in glove right there anyway. But,
increase the
They used to.
well, I suppose it could, yeah, that's
He was
right.
going to talk off to the side.
Okay. There was a motion and a second, and I guess that's what we're kind of discussing on. And then, David, I repeat you, I think your motion was a moratorium on CUPs for bed and breakfast in residential areas.
No, I think it was all.
All new is what David said.
All lodging,
All new.
all new, see, all
All
new.
new lodging CUPs?
all
But it's got to be on B and Bs.
Nobody gave me a second. Let me
Terry
pull
did.
that back.
Terry did.
Oh, you did? Could you pull your
I
second
take it back.
I take my motion back and would like to restate it.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we apply a moratorium on all new CUPs related, all new CUPs in residential 1 and 2 until June the 30th of 2017.
Second.
Okay. So that's
June
all
30.
CUPs.
Just, yeah.
Okay.
They can last 6 months.
All new.
All new CUPs, not that, I don't want to get into
Okay,
somebody
gotcha.
selling
Yeah.
their property.
Or something's already been applied
Okay.
for.
And that's healthcare and everything else that Wood's talking
In,
about. All right.
in R1 and R2.
All right,
And
Vicki.
it's your property.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Susan.
If y'all hate all these neat things that our little town does, move your butt out to a field somewhere. This is ridiculous. Eureka has been a friendly, close-knit, tidy little town. We have done everything. Everybody has loved everybody. And all of a sudden, in the last few years, all anybody wants to do is shoot everybody down. You like New Orleans so damn much, go back. It's that simple. This is ridiculous. I used to take care of little babies 35 years ago when I bought my house. Not a neighbor had a problem. You're saying, no, you can't do that. B&Bs, all over in my neighborhood, all in the whole area. Nobody has had a problem. Can't do that. This is ridiculous. Part of a neighborhood is what you do. All those little kids, my neighbors, I lived in a little neighborhood that at that time was nothing but old people. I was in my late 30s, and I was the baby of the neighborhood. They love these little kids. You're taking all of this neighborhood and neighborliness stuff away. Too damn many laws, too many restrictions, too everything. This crap needs to stop now. We need to get back to who we were. And if you haven't been here long enough to know, check the archives.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I know you've made an oral motion to do a moratorium, but given the fact that the last couple of moratoriums have come under debate afterward, I would like to see you put that in the form of a written resolution and pass it rather than just a oral vote of what you're wanting to do. It shouldn't take more than a couple of seconds to do, but it should be, if you pass a written, there won't be what happened with the one a couple of months ago where some people at the table thought it meant one thing, some people in planning thought it meant another, and there got to be quite a big argument over wording.
I understand. I think the issue there was that it was the issue that people thought that we stopped just all CUPs, and we clarified that it was new, and I very clearly made a motion that said new. I thought I was clear. But if you think, you're the attorney, if you think it's a resolution, I'll go.
I think it should, but I think all moratoriums honestly should be.
Thank you.
That way there's not a chance for someone else to say, well, I didn't hear it that way or I heard it a different way.
I will take your legal advice, okay.
So the mayor could bring a resolution to us at the next meeting.
No, we can actually take a 5-minute recess if you would
It's
withdraw
not
your...
complicated.
This is the last item.
Can we have a 5-minute motion?
I mean, if Terry would withdraw his motion,
I would love to make a motion that we,
withdraw your motion, and then on the motion for the moratorium, and make it that we'll have a resolution, and then the 5-minute recess.
You have to vote.
It's out.
And now I make a motion that that our attorney draft, while we're at break for 5 minutes, a resolution for the moratorium as discussed.
Second, all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye.
Nay. I abstain.
1, 2,
1.
I voted aye.
What's your vote? So it's 3, 2, 1.
I vote aye. Okay, so we got a 5-minute recess while a moratorium. All right, we are back into session and discussing a resolution for a moratorium on all CUPs in residential areas. Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we read this resolution into the record for passage.
Second.
Sign a number.
Sign a number.
Yes, sign the number.
Okay. Discussion?
The number will be 700.
I like it.
All right, we need to have a roll call vote.
Yep.
Oh, because it is. Thank you. Keep me on my toes.
Between both of us.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
Ms. Adamson,
Abstain.
Mr. Thomas,
No.
Ms. Schneider,
No.
Mr. Mitchell.
Oh, yes.
So it's 3, 2, 1.
I'll vote in favor.
4, 2, 1.
Resolution 700, resolution to establish moratorium. Whereas the City Council of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, finds that the loss of residential housing is a concern and would like additional time to further study the issue. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that 1, there shall be a moratorium placed on the acceptance of all new CUP applications until June 30th, 2017 in R1 and R2 housing districts, passed and approved by the City Council on this blank date of January 2017.
Okay. That takes care of that item. Our next item is agenda setting for our next meeting. Anybody have anything? Okay. City Council comments. Christy, I'll go with you first and go around the table.
I would like to welcome Peg to the council. We're happy to have you here. I really don't have anything further to say.
Bob?
Oh. When I decided to run for city council 2 years ago, I was discouraged because people kept telling me, oh, you know, you're going to have so much trouble with the citizens. They're going to be, you know, calling you and complaining and yelling at you and screaming at you. I have not found that to be the case. Quite frankly, in 2 years, I've had a lot of people contact me, and we've not always agreed on what they wanted, but they were always polite, they were always pleasant, and I always enjoyed the interaction. The people of this town deserve to have 6 representatives at this table who have the ability to speak well and who have the opportunity to speak, and I do not feel that I am representing the people as well as they should be represented, so I will be resigning tomorrow in writing.
Nothing.
David?
Welcome, Peg. Thank you.
Thanks.
And we look forward to working with you. And Bob, that's certainly your choice.
Mickey?
Yeah, I tried talking him out of it. That didn't do any good, obviously. Gonna miss you. You've been good. I have been in touch with the CAPC, and something needs to be really, really made clear to the people because it gets really confusing. I had a couple of shopkeepers complain that on our city site, all the various city sites, they couldn't find a single date for a single car show, and we're pretty much known for a lot of our car shows. So I checked with CAPC, and the problem is every year the car clubs reinstate people, vote in a new president, a new secretary, whatever. It takes them forever to change their website stuff. They never bother to contact EUREKA or the CAPC unless it's one of the big ones and near the time of showing up saying, by the way, there will be 100 of us coming, you know. CAPC has tried and tried and tried to reach them. The old sites, because it was a previous person, are no longer working, or it doesn't go forward, or nobody's checking on it. They have no way of knowing when various entities are doing anything in town at all, ever. Very few times do they have a common thing. So if they checked with him last year, the CAPC checked with this car club last year, that doesn't mean they can still go to him this year. They have to go to him this year, but they don't know that. See what I'm saying? There's no cohesiveness to the way and to whom the CAPC is supposed to be contacting. The people have to contact EUREKA. We need to get out there to people, letting them know, please, if you're going to bring someone, if you're going to do something, let us know. One of the biggest problems we have is the hotels and motels take reservations for like these big, huge weekends with all these people, but they're so afraid of word getting out to other hotels who will then underbid them in cost. Nobody is talking to anybody. I don't know if this is something the council can or should look at, deal with, or whatever, but it's causing a major problem. So if Hotel A is going to have 100 car people, they don't want to let anybody know, including the CAPC, because Hotel B might get word of it and undermine them on cost. This is ridiculous. So this is why we have problems knowing ahead of time. Well, as soon as they find out anything, they make sure every single calendar EUREKA has gets this info put on there. But in the meantime, they're getting yelled at because it's not on there when we have no way of knowing. It's a major problem. Like I said, I don't know if this is something we, the council, can or should deal with or not, but it's something we need to be aware of and see what we can do. So think about it and let's come back on it.
Can I say something about it?
Okay.
When events are permitted, it goes on the city website. And so if people want to know, all they have to do is look at,
I think you guys check with CAPC, or they check with you. Those are the only things that they ever know.
what I'm saying is when an event is coming to town, they go through a permitting process that goes through the department head meeting. It gets entered in a book. It gets entered on the city calendar. So if they would look at the city website,
They do, that's the thing. Those are the only ones where the permits have been applied for ahead of time.
that's how it's done.
Not everybody does it though, and a lot ahead of time, as opposed to like a month or maybe two. That appears to be the biggest problem, is everything is like last minute. They would love to know in January what's going on the rest of the year, but they have no contact info until permitting is done.
Oftentimes it's done well ahead of the event. So
Yeah, but not January and February apparently. Anyway, but it is a problem. We need to think about this, so.
Welcome, Peg. Any comments?
Yeah, I'm really sad about Bob not being here. I mean, I love being here. I hope I can do justice to being on city council. I'm pretty overwhelmed right at the moment. But I brought in my little book of The Hidden History of Eureka Springs by Joyce Zeller, which got this whole thing going. It was because of her and her family that I decided to run, or was urged to run, for city council, and I was elected to this position. I was looking forward to working with Bob. I've worked with him on the cemetery commission, which I would not survive on that cemetery commission without him. And I'm going to go home and cry for a little while. I also wanted to mention something else about a resident of Eureka Springs is Gina Rose Galena. I believe I pronounced her name right. She's going to be at the Vogue Knitting Live in New York City on January 13 to 15. And she has a fabulous little movie on Facebook with Zeke Taylor? Zeke Taylor, called The Queen Bee, and it's fabulous. So if you check it out, you can really root for a local gal and her creativity and crocheting. It's absolutely great. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, welcome, Peg and Christy both. Even though Christy was sitting on meetings before we got here, and we're glad you're here. Bob, I am very sad because you are a big impact on the council, and your diligence in your work and everything that you do is appreciated. It may not seem like it, and we may have some things going on, and I'm very sad and disappointed that you are wanting to resign, or are resigning as such. Anyway, I don't know how to express that anymore. If you're mad at me because of what I did tonight about the budget, didn't mean for you to take that personal. I was trying to follow the rules. I think the city attorney was kind of backing me up on this. The budget meetings was not, when we had this meetings, we're setting the meeting dates and we weren't setting agenda items. And I didn't mean to put you down on that. You're the one that's pretty much been putting on the budget meetings and coming up, and you've been very diligent about meeting with me and Lonnie and going over the budgets with your questions. And I really wish you would reconsider and stay on. As far as the calendar of events, a lot of times we don't know what's going on until people are notifying us. Until we get information, we don't know exactly what to put on our calendars. One of our biggest problems that we've been working with on the mayor's economic task force was to try to get one source for calendar of events for everything, so everybody would know, could go to one place to find out. The CAPC is a logical place because everybody goes to there, and what we found, we would forward on to it. The Chamber of Commerce has events that come up, a lot of times that don't involve the city, but we encourage them to go ahead and contact the CAPC also, because those are all events. We do, Eureka thrives on events. We thrive on car shows. We thrive on parades. Sometimes they create some issues, but we all like a parade, I think. So anyway, and as far as speaking of events that are coming up, the January 19th through the 22nd, we will have the Ozark Mountain Festival, which is 11 acts of bluegrass folk music being held in the Basin Park. So if you're wanting something to do during the January 19th through the 22nd, it'll be
Basin Park Hotel.
Basin Park Hotel. And thank you for the clarification. It will not be outside. It will be inside, nice and warm. And anyway, that's all I have at this point.
Question?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas, would you consider sleeping on it, making a decision tomorrow?
Please, please,
Please?
I'll haunt you.
I will sleep on it.
Please.
I'll come back and haunt you.
It won't be nice when I call you.
All right, got a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.